Yo, welcome to Alpha Omega University. Welcome back. We got another episode today. I'm sorry about yesterday. I wasn't feeling good, so I had to cancel the episode last minute. So the episode we're having today is the one that was supposed to be here yesterday. It's gonna be episode 19, Healer. So I know the schedule got a little fucked up. And actually, I had just released the new schedule on Wednesday, right? And so I had to go back and edit it. The good thing is I figured out a way to kind of update the schedule a little bit better. And so now when we have any of the changes and stuff in the schedule, I can actually update it very quickly and post it. That way you guys can see the schedule and it's always going to be up to date with everything, right? As opposed to like the last schedule, it was kind of hard. It's just the way I did it. It had to do something with the graphics and all that. Anyway, I figured out a way to make it easier. So now I can actually edit the schedule. Yo, this guy's like president accounted for. We're gonna go through fucking roll call. But yeah. So we just dropped the schedule. Today we're doing episode 19, Healers. And on Monday, we will be doing supports. Okay, so instead of doing VOD review, we're going to be doing supports. Now, VOD review Monday is being postponed for about 3 weeks or so, the next 3 weeks or so. I have a pretty busy schedule this month. So, we got Mother's Day in the middle of the month. If you forgot, this is your reminder that it's Mother's Day coming soon, and you gotta thank your mother. All right. But yeah, so because of that, I'm gonna be spending some time with family, things like that. So I had to edit the schedule for those reasons. But yeah. I mean, the schedule as it is, we can take a look at it right now. I do want to go through it with you guys a little bit, see what you guys think. You guys can let me know in the chat what you guys think. If there's any episodes, by the way, if there's any episodes at all that you guys don't really, how do I say this, feel like cover anything specific. Like there are some people were mentioning to me that some of the episodes that we already did before didn't cover certain specific topics that they wanted covered, right? And so with those things, I love that feedback, right? So drop it in the Discord. If you're on Twitch, scroll down, there's a Discord link there. If you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description. You can jump on the Discord and you can always communicate with me there. Otherwise, you can just communicate with me on the live stream. That's cool too. But I do read all that stuff because it's feedback, and I want to make sure I'm teaching you guys the stuff you guys are excited to learn, right? So let me go to this next screen here. I'm gonna show you guys the schedule, right? So this is the schedule. This is the updated schedule. I know you guys were watching it, if you were here at the beginning, but if you're just tuning in, whatever, this is the schedule. We're gonna go through it real quick. This is the next 2.5 months. Basically, all these episodes I've kind of gathered for the majority, like feedback from people, what you guys kind of been wanting, but also some things that are just necessary for me to like talk about and things like that, right? So, if you guys have anything that you guys want me to talk about, anything you guys want me to teach, anything specific, let me know, and I will definitely put it in the next schedule. So that will be the end of July schedule into August and September, right? So I'm gonna be releasing these schedules every two to 2.5 months or so, simply because that's just as much space as I have for the schedule, right? So today is May 6th, right? So we're doing episode 19, Healers, right? And then Monday it's gonna be the 8th. We're gonna be doing support. The next rundown after that is episode 21, 22, 23. And like I said, there's no VOD reviews for those next 3 weeks or so. All right. But then we're going to have 2 VOD reviews back to back at the end of May. So I guess it's the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, whatever. So yeah, we got Under Pressure. And that's going to be episode 21. Under Pressure is going to be a really, really important episode. Okay. Don't miss that episode, because that episode is exactly the stuff that we are missing in today's meta, right? In today's meta, there's not a whole lot of pressure happening outside of engages and positional pressure, right? And so understanding other ways to apply pressure to the enemy is extremely, extremely important. And that's going to be covered in episode 21. After that, we're going to talk about using a terrain. That's episode 22. That one is a pretty broad topic about looking at the terrain, and kind of using the terrain features such as the hills and the rocks and even small trees and stuff like that. And we're gonna be looking in depth, right? It's a broad topic, but we're gonna look in depth at how these individual things can affect your gameplay and how you should use them to kind of build distance with your enemy, as well as predict the enemy engages or predict the enemy movement. Okay, all those things are very, very important. So those two episodes right there, episode 21 and episode 22, you do not want to miss them. All right, you do not want to miss them. Then we got high value targets, episode 23. Right, we got high value targets. I mean, it's a pretty general. You can kind of already I already understand, like what a high value target is like a scout, a caller, obviously a caller, right? Or bomb squads are high value targets, things like that, right? So that's going to be more about how to deal with them and how to kind of make sure that they don't screw you up as much as they can, because they are high value targets, right? Episode 24 is another one that I really tell you guys have to show up for that one. That one is episode 24, ZVZ Flow. All right. ZVZ Flow is basically everything about the engage, re-engage, counters, and mobility, right? All of it packed together in one big episode. I think we might even go over 2 hours with that episode. There's a lot to go through on that episode. So really important episode. Going into June, we're going to be doing an ego check episode, because a lot of people have high ego in this game, man. A lot of people tend to think, oh my God, I'm so great, I'm so amazing, I can't get better, right? And it's like you think you're perfect, and so that keeps you from getting better, all right? And so we have to kind of bring ourselves on an ego check and humble ourselves so that we can progress further, because you're not the best player there's ever been, okay? It's damn near impossible, because everybody's gonna fucking say the same thing, right? So there's no way you're all fucking the best player ever. All right. So everybody's got a chance to learn. And even if you are the best player ever, you can still learn even more, right? You can still get better, right? So having an ego check is very, very, very important. So that's why I had to make an episode about it. After that, we're going to have the series. If you guys remember, if you guys watched episode 5 or 6, I can't remember which one it was. Maybe even 7. I don't know. I think it was 6. It was an episode called Calling Styles. We talked about different types of calling styles. We had the bait and switch, the tsunami, the kite, the turn and burn, right? We had those kinds of styles, okay? I'm going to go in depth into each style. That way you understand what your caller is trying to accomplish and how they're playing. But also so that you understand how the enemy's trying to play, and that way you know how to counter them. Okay. On the flip side, this also works for callers or people who are trying to learn how to call. Understanding these things are extremely important for a caller, because you need to read the enemy movements and counter them effectively. And if you're not doing that, then you're probably not going to do as well as you could as a caller. So this series has a dual purpose, right? It's for the individual player, but it's also for callers. But however, one thing I decided to do with this series, I decided not to throw all the entire series straight ahead, right? Like how we have, like right now we're having the series with the individual roles, right? And right now we're doing healers. On Monday we're doing supports, and that's going to be the end of the series. But instead of doing that series of the different calling styles back to back, I decided to break it up. So we're going to have one episode of the calling style, and then one episode of something else. All right. That way we're having a little bit of a diversity between each episode, and we're not just getting hammered with one thing, because I feel like some people kind of like get overwhelmed with too much of the same thing. So I understand it. So that's why I decided to break it up. And in between there, I mean, you guys can look at the rest of the schedule yourselves, but that's going to be basically what I just went over is going to encompass the next month. Towards the end of the schedule here, in mid-July, we're going to have the Castle Siege and Territory Siege. Those two I really wanted to mention because those two were very, very sought after. I had multiple people message me about, hey, you should do an episode on Castle Sieges and Territory Sieges and blah, blah. Initially, I wanted to make them one episode, right? Castle Siege and Territory Siege, I want to make them one episode because they're very similar, all right? They are very, very similar. However, as I was going through doing the episodes, I realized there's a lot of things that I have to go over for each individual one. There's two types of castles, there's two types of territories, right? And there's different strategies on sieging each one of them. Okay, so I had to basically split it up into two, and I may end up having to edit the schedule again later on, and even split it up into maybe an extra third episode, because there's just so much stuff about sieging castles and sieging territories that we would have to go over. So those two are very important episodes. But yeah, there's the rest of the schedule. I just wanted to go over it real quick. As always, oh, by the way, the videos we're watching today are all from Reset Day today. Today is Reset Day, right? So I'm sure that a lot of you guys are fucking out there, with your Zergs, or maybe you couldn't, whatever. But I appreciate you tuning in either way. So these are from Reset Day EU. All right, so EU earlier today. Most of these fights are from EU. There's only one fight that you guys are going to watch today that is going to be from last night. So it wasn't technically reset, but it was close enough. Well, it was from the Asia server, right? So the East server. So it kind of counts, I guess. I guess you can kind of say. Anyway, so that's it for all those things. I just wanted to go over the schedule with you guys real quick. Today is not a very long episode. Okay, today's not a very long episode, and it's because we're going through healers, and I'm not trying to shit on healers. Okay, healers. I almost said shielders, right? So healers are actually really important, right? I mentioned it before. Without healers, you're basically a dead Zerg, right? It's very, very important. It's the most important role. However, healers are very straightforward. There's not a lot of ability for healers to play different things or play in different styles, right? They're kind of confined to these two different trees and nature or holy. And out of those trees, they really don't have more than like two options on each of them, right? Like in reality, for ZVZ purposes. So it's unfortunate, but I will go over some of the options that are possibly being overlooked. Okay, so some options, maybe like Hollow or not Hollowfall. Sorry, Great Holy, right? Great Holy, I think is a little bit being overlooked in the grand scheme of things, just because people don't believe in it. I'll make my argument on that, but essentially, this is why this episode is going to be a little bit shorter than usual, unless you guys in the chat have like a ton of questions about healers. Then we'll take as long as we need to, so I can answer you guys' questions. But I don't anticipate this being a long episode, simply because healers are pretty straightforward. So that's it. Now, make sure you guys hit the follow if you guys like the content. Make sure you guys subscribe if you want to. I appreciate it 100%. I really, really do appreciate it. However, the content is free. All right. I will never tell you guys that you have to fucking subscribe or pay or do whatever the fuck just so you can get the content. No, I mean, I'm going to bring you guys the content no matter what, regardless. Right. Because I want you guys to learn. I want to spread the wealth of knowledge that I have in this game to you guys as much as possible. I eventually one day, I mean, I don't know when, but eventually one day I probably will stop playing the game, because everybody stops playing the game at some point. I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. I am enjoying it a lot, especially right now with the stream and everything. It's kind of bringing a different face to the game for me. So it's much more fun lately for me. But eventually one day everybody's gonna go, right? And so I want to make sure that I'm able to kind of put all the things that I've learned into a way where you guys can kind of pick up from that, as opposed to just having to learn the hard way like everybody has had to for years since the game came out. So one of the main arguments that we're going to be going over today is going to be holy healer AoE Q versus the single target Q. All right. If you know me already, like you've been in guilds with me and in the past few seasons, then you know how I feel about this. But I'll go into it afterwards. But essentially, I feel like that's going to be the biggest point of contention, because there are a lot of people on both sides of that argument, whether AoE Q is better or whether single target Q is better. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have questions about that, or you guys feel like I'm wrong with my selection of what I think is better, then you guys definitely this is the day to kind of argue that. right? And we'll go back and forth with it. I don't mind at all. I've done it many times before, right? This argument is at least a year old now. All right. So, all right. Let me think. I don't think we have anything else to go over. Oh, by the way, yo, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button. Yeah, if you enjoy it, you enjoy the content, whatever, hit the like button. Yeah, because it helps me out. It helps me reach more people with the videos on YouTube. If you hit that like button, write a comment. I don't care what you write. Say it sucks or say it's good. I don't care. Just write a comment. It helps me out. It really does. So hopefully it doesn't take too much effort from you, fucking a few clicks or whatever. But yeah, that stuff does help me out. Anyway, all right, let's get going. So episode 19, healers. That's today. So we're gonna be talking about the gear. Right, first all the gear, so all the weapons and all the armors and helmets and boots, and then we're gonna talk about some tips that I can give you guys about how to play healer, in a better way, and you can be more effective with your heals. And at the very end, we're gonna look at some analysis. Right, it's not quite VOD review, but it's a little bit of VOD review, but a little bit as well of just kind of looking at how people are playing those healers. And there's a few weapons that we're going to look at. We're not going to look at every single weapon that I have here on this list, I don't think, because I couldn't find videos for everyone. But we will have quite a few videos, and some of these videos go really far back. All right, there are some videos that go really, really far back. Yeah, you guys might see some really old names on this stream today. So, all right, without further ado, I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm missing something else. No, I don't think so. All right, listen. Give me 30 seconds because I got a beer back. Give me 30 seconds. All right, I'm back. I had to turn on the AC, man. It's getting hot in here. Summer's coming, man. I can feel it. I can feel the summer. Man, I want to go to the beach. Oboros, I got here at the start of the argument. Oh shit, I clicked something wrong. I'm good. All right, I got here at the start of the argument of Q1 and Q3, but will you also cover Nature Healer? The argument on Q1 versus Q3 on Holy has not started. I just mentioned it just because I know that people are going to have issues with that argument, right? But yeah, we're going to talk about it. That's what I expect to spend quite a bit of time talking about. Well, I saw cover Nature Healer. Yeah. There are 3 weapons of nature that we're going to go over. So let me get into it now because we've wasted enough time already. So, and again, I am looking at chat. So any point in time you guys have any questions about anything, whether it's related to what we're talking about or not, drop it in the chat. I will respond. Today we don't have a lot of things to go over, so the more you guys interact, the more time the stream will last, right? And that way we can talk about more things. All right, so the first weapon we got to talk about when we're talking about healers is going to be Fallen. I mean, that one's pretty straightforward. I don't think anyone can argue that Fallen is not strong for healing in general, right? I mean, it's the most basic fucking heal weapon in the game that everybody's using in ZVZ. So we'll talk about the Q in a minute, right? Because people are like, oh, AoE Q, single target Q. We'll talk about it in a minute. But the W, generally speaking, for all holy healers, generally speaking, you're gonna run the orb, right? The I forget what it's called, but whatever. It's the fucking orb, all right? Sacred orb, something like that. So the orb heals 10 people, right? So that in and of itself right there is very strong, right? So 10 people healing is solid, okay? There are some heal weapons that we just cannot play them as ZVZ weapons simply because they have a limit of 5 people to heal, right? So that limitation screws up a lot of their viability. So the W for the holy, the orb has 10 people, so that's a check mark right there, right? The W as well, when it explodes, right? When it actually hits a player and it actually explodes, like it actually explodes at a decent amount of radius. I believe it's like 5, 6, maybe 7 meters. I can't remember. I think it is 7 meters. I think it's 7 meters, which is huge, by the way. It's really big. What I'm saying, it's big enough to heal an entire clump, right? So if your Zerg gets clumped and then they're getting hit by shit, most DPS damage, like AoE, is about a 5-meter radius, sometimes 6, okay, if they're a little bigger. There are a few that are even bigger than that, but generally speaking, 5, 6 meters, right? So if your W orb on Holy actually does like 6 or 7 meter radius, then that is a direct counter, right? To the AoE damage that the enemy is going to put out. So it checks all the marks. The W orb is really, really strong for all holy weapons. And so the Fallen uses it a lot, obviously. Yo, Jotita, what's up? Yeah, the W is not a lot of argument. I know a lot of times people say, oh, the W is not that good because you have to like make sure you have a clear line of sight to the target so that you can heal it appropriately. But that doesn't mean that the W is not good. Okay, and that's what a lot of people say, man. They say, oh, well, it's not good because it's hard to aim it or to drop it where you need it. And it's like that's not the problem of the W. That's a skill issue. You understand? That the thing is when you go and have a skill that basically does everything for you, all right, and this is kind of going to lead into the Q argument, all right, but when you have a skill that does everything for you, then it becomes very easy to use it appropriately, right? And when it becomes easy to use it appropriately, then you as an expert healer will literally be healing just as good as somebody who just picked up healing yesterday. Okay, so what I'm saying is that having skills that are actually, like having weapon skills, okay, or in-game skills that are actually player skill based, okay, are actually extremely important for this game. Not only are they important for this game, but those are the skills that separate you as an expert healer, right, or an expert player in general. I mean, this applies to everything else, okay? From the rest of the players in the game. And if you think that, oh, well, these little differences don't matter, then how else would you fucking explain the difference between, you know, a Pora level Zerg that is running people down, right, versus like a Arch level Zerg that gets run down all the time, right? How do you explain the difference? Well, the difference is in the player's skill, because they're both using pretty much the same Zerg, the same composition, the same, the same weapons, the same armors for the most part. I mean, the meta doesn't drastically change from one Zerg to another, right? There's some changes, but it doesn't drastically change. So what it comes down to is player skill, right? And so what I'm saying is, if you think that the W orb is not good because it's hard to aim, then that doesn't mean that the W orb is not good. That means that you're not good enough with it. All right. And that's one of those things that you got to kind of look at yourself and be like, damn, I need to get better, because there are other people that can do it and use the orb very, very well in 100, 200 man fights. Right. And I can't do it. So that means that it's my problem as a healer. You got to take responsibility. All right. You got to take responsibility and acknowledge what your deficits are. That way you can work on them and get better. So the W, I love it as a skill. I love how it is. It is pretty strong. It's strong enough, okay, as a W. It's also an instant heal, right? You drop it, there's no channel, nothing like that. You just launch that motherfucker, and it's actually a very long distance as well. Where so often if you're playing healer, and your allies are like over a ridge or something, over a fucking river, whatever, and you're kind of seeing them a little bit like off your screen, getting damaged, you can throw a fucking orb down there, and 9 times out of 10 you'll reach them. All right, you'll reach them. So the orb is very, very powerful, very powerful. But also on top of it being powerful, the truth is that there's not a lot of other W options for holy healers. What the fuck's going on? Hold on. Yeah, that video was weird. All right, sorry, the video tripped me out. The video we're watching right now tripped me out. All right, so let me see. What? I think he's just trolling. All right, hold on. Let me end that video. All right. So, yeah, so there's not a lot of other options for W for W used for holy healer. There's a couple. There's things like the what is it? Something protection, sacred protection, I think it's called, something like that, where it's like it gives you resistances. It gives one target resistances, and it also, I think it's only armor though. It doesn't give them magic resist, so it's only armor, and it gives them like 30% heal boost. Those things are decent, especially for things like pocket healers, right? And we've talked about pocket healers before, but essentially, if you don't know, a pocket healer is somebody who is specifically designated to heal one specific person. And usually you'll have a pocket healer for the caller because you don't want the caller to die and then your whole Zerg is screwed. But outside of those things, I mean, there's not a lot of good W's. So the orb is just tends to be the absolute option for Holy. All right. The E for Fallen, I mean, it's a 5.5 meter radius, so it's pretty big, right? It's big enough. And then it heals 10 people and it also cleanses them. All right. Overall, the Fallen E is just very, very strong. The only drawback that Fallen E has is that it's interruptible, right? However, the interrupt, honestly, it's pretty quick, so you got to be very fast in interrupting it. Otherwise, you can't interrupt it effectively all the time. Okay, it's kind of hard to consistently interrupt it. However, if you have things like egos and stuff, that really screws over Fallen healers. Okay, but people don't run egos as much as they could, and so that's why Fallens don't get screwed over as often as they could be. So yeah, the E overall is very, very powerful. This is why the Fallen is just the staple of healing, and this is what I was saying before. It's unfortunate healers don't have a lot of options. All right, Fallen is the number one option, and then it kind of really takes big steps down after that. So the next weapon is Divine Staff. All right. Divine Staff is usually used for pocket healing, like I mentioned earlier, and the reason for it is because it's an instant big ass shield, right? It's like 2,000 shield or 3,000 shield, some shit like that. It's fucking huge, all right? It's a large shield, and it's instant, right? There's no cast, there's no nothing, so you can't really interrupt it. So as long as the Divine Staff player is near the person they gotta heal, they can drop that E instantly on them, and it's a pretty strong E because of the big shield, but it also does heal afterwards if the shield is broken. So that is very, very strong for the Divine Staff, but also you have the Q and the W for the Holy, which we'll go over the Q in a second. Hollow Fall is another one. Again, the same Q, W, whatever. The E for the Hollow Fall is a very low cooldown. All right, it's lower cooldown. I don't want to say very low, but it's lower cooldown than like a Fallen. All right. It is a slightly smaller radius than the E. Okay. However, you do still have the 10-person heal. Plus, it does do a little bit of CC on the enemy, right? It knocks people up in the area that you hit. However, the Hollow Fall cannot be interrupted. So remember, we're talking about the Fallen, and the drawback of using Fallen is that it can get interrupted. Well, Hollow Fall doesn't get interrupted, right? It's not a channel. You just pop that motherfucker and you use it. It's also very strong because it gives mobility, right? So you're actually getting to move around the Zerg with the Hollow Fall. You jump in and you jump out of places, things like that. So Hollow Fall is very strong. The problem, obviously, with Hollow Fall is because you have to jump in to make the heal. Then you're suddenly placing yourself in a danger area, right? Just imagine if the enemy clumps your Zerg up and you're a Hollow Fall healer, what are they gonna do to that clump? They're gonna fucking delete it, right? They're gonna drop all their damage right on that clump. And in order for you to heal it as a Hollow Fall, it literally means that you have to jump in that clump to heal it. Which, if you jump in that clump as a Clothy, you're probably gonna die, right? So it's a tough weapon to kind of use consistently. However, Hollow Fall is strong, especially when you're having a mobile Zerg, right? So nowadays, a lot of the meta today is about pushing the enemy non-stop, right? Just today, perfect example. Today, I was playing EU Reset with CIR, right, with Terra, and we fought a fight in spring against W4H and what's their name? Sex and Flex, Flow. All right, so it was Flow. It was W4H and then Flow, right? So we fought both of them on the same zone, and it was just one right after the other. And basically that entire fight, we were just pushing, right? Like just nonstop. We were just fucking pushing like a goddamn fucking truck that wouldn't stop, right? And yeah, we were taking losses and stuff as we pushed, but I mean, it didn't matter because we ran the enemy over, and that's how we won the entire fight against both Flow and W4H. However, in those scenarios, Hollow Fall actually is very, very strong because you get to jump, which, remember, is the mobility, right? You get to jump in the mobility while you're healing forward. And so what that means is that as the Hollow Fall, you're not going to fall behind. Whereas the Fallen Staff, you're going to go and be like, okay, I need to heal the front. And then you drop a heal on the front and your entire Zerg keeps moving forward. So then suddenly, like, nobody gets the fucking heal because they just walked past it. Or even if they do get the heal, you still had to stand there for the channel and all that shit, right? You still had to stand there for all that, channeling it and the stand time after it. So you are naturally going to start falling behind in those scenarios. So in the scenario in which your Zerg is just trying to run over the enemy, in a very highly mobile Zerg, Holofall tends to do significantly better than Fallen, right? That's not to say that Fallen is not good. Of course not. But it's just in that one scenario, in that one niche, right? Holofall is better than Fallen in that one aspect, right? Pretty much everything else, Fallen is better. Now, the next one that I told you I was going to talk about is going to be the Great Holy, okay? Now, Great Holy, a lot of people are like, wait, what? For ZVZ, Great Holy? What? Oh, you're crazy. Listen, Great Holy is actually pretty strong, okay? The only problem that Great Holy has, and this is the thing that I told you guys about earlier, right? Is that Great Holy only heals 5 people. All right, so that right there on its own kind of kills this as a ZVZ weapon. However, it doesn't fully kill it, okay? It doesn't fully kill it because the rest of the kit of the Great Holy is actually decent, okay? Now, the thing about the Great Holy E is that it has a very, very low cooldown, all right? The fact that it has a very, very low cooldown, even lower than Holofall, right? The fact that Great Holy has a lower cooldown, it only heals 5 people. Okay, but the lower cooldown, right? The AoE radius is actually 7 meters, right? That's pretty fucking big. When you compare it to the Fallen, it's only 5.5. I think maybe 6, 5.5. I'm pretty sure it's 5.5. And then you compare it to the Holofall, it's only 5, right? So when you have the Great Holy have an AoE radius of 7 meters, the problem is that it only heals 5 people. However, okay, it doesn't just burst heal 5 people. It heals 5 people in multiple explosions. Okay, that's what they call it, the fucking holy explosions or whatever the fuck it's called. All right, so it heals 5 people in multiple hits. So if you have a group of people that is low on HP in the backline, and this is not for frontline heal, okay? This is kind of for like the backline, all right? And you're gonna go and try to heal people up. Well, anybody that walks in and out of your 7-meter radius will get the heal, right? Now, if you have somebody standing inside of that radius and they're full HP, okay, then that's taking one of the 5 slots of people that can get healed, right? That's pretty bad. However, it's still gonna be decent as a heal over time weapon, all right? Because a lot of people make the mistake of looking at the Great Holy as a burst heal weapon, because it's a holy, and we usually think, oh well, holy means burst, right? Great Holy, if you change your mindset on it and you start looking at it as a heal over time weapon, you will start to realize that it's actually quite powerful as a heal over time weapon. Not only that, it does a knockback on the first holy explosion thing. As soon as you pop it, right, it does a knockback, right? So in the meta that we have today, where the enemy Zerg tries to flood you, okay? Well, if you use your Great Holy while the enemy's trying to flood your back line, at the minimum, it's gonna help knock back and knock away the enemies from being around you, okay? That can be very, very helpful in and of itself. But then you add the heal, right? And if I remember correctly, I may be totally fucking wrong, but if I remember correctly, the Great Holy also gives resistances. Okay, it's very, very minor. It's very minor. It's like 30, I think, or maybe 20, something like that. It's very minor, right? But it's something, okay? Now, what I'm saying, oh yeah, it gives resistances, but it gives it on the first burst only, all right? So my point is, Great Holy, if you use it as a heal over time weapon, then suddenly it might actually be viable. Now, I haven't tested it, okay? I'm just gonna be completely honest with you guys. I haven't tested it, okay? Because that 5 per ally heal is very restrictive. Okay, it's very restrictive. But what I look at from Great Holy, I actually see a high potential for usage if it is used as a backline heal type weapon, right? So if somebody were to come up to you like a player in your guild or whatever and say, hey, do you mind if I run this today just to try it out? Give it a chance. Give it a chance, because I promise you it might actually be very good as a heal over time weapon. Oboro says it knocks back as well. Yeah, I talked about that. Yeah, it does knock back, and it's a good knockback, man. I think that's what people are more worried of. Oh, you're saying that they're worried because they're gonna knock back a clump or something. I understand that, but here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. Everybody's so scared of the knockbacks. This is why Bedrock Mace is not in the absolute meta. But Bedrock Mace is coming into meta, okay? But this is why Bedrock Mace is not in the full-blown meta. It's because people are scared of what knockbacks can do to hurt clumps and things like that, okay? However, you have to think of the opposite usage, okay? Just like it can break up clumps, it can also stop an entire enemy force from fully surrounding you or engaging you, right? This is why Bedrock is starting to be picked up more and more and more, because a knockback is so important. Right now, the knockback of Great Holy, again, if used appropriately, and this is why I'm saying, as a backline heal, I don't want the Great Holy in the front, right? I don't want them in the front. But if they're in the back line, popping their fucking E, then it makes it harder for the enemy Zerg to stay inside of you and swarm you, right? It also means that you're not going to be so far in the front where the clumps are going to happen that you're going to be fucking up the clumps, right? I mean, you shouldn't, right? So all of this is obviously idealistic if you have a player that actually knows what he's doing, okay? Don't put a new guy on a Great Holy. You're going to have a bad time, right? But if you have an experienced healer, have them try it out. I promise you guys will be surprised on the amount of healing output it will deliver, okay? But it has to be played as a heal over time weapon. All right, so now that we went through all the heal weapons, okay? Let's get into the argument, right? The argument between the single target Q heals and the AoE Q heals, right? So right now in the chat, whoever's watching in the chat, go ahead and tell me what you guys prefer. Just you know, Q1 is the single target, Q3 is the AoE heal, right? So just say Q1 or Q3, whatever you prefer. All right. So while I talk, you guys can drop it in. Personally, I'm gonna tell you guys that without a doubt, Q1 is way better. Not even by like not even a question. Okay? Not even a question in my point of view. All right? Here's the problem. Most people run AoE Q. They run the third Q. All right? The reason most people run AoE Q is because AoE Q is more noob friendly. All right? It is more noob friendly. That means that it's easier to use the AoE Q effectively to the effect that the AoE Q will be good at, right? So, let me explain it this way. Here, first let me drink some water. Got to stay hydrated. If you got a water bottle next to you, drink some water because we got to stay hydrated, man. The summer's coming. Gotta keep our fucking hydration, our electrolytes. All right. So, listen, the AoE Q, I want you guys to think about this. If there's a scale from 0 to 100, and 100 is like the absolute best heal in the entire game, okay? 0 is literally a heal that doesn't even heal. Like, it literally doesn't heal shit. Like, it heals 1, right? 1 HP, all right? In that scale, the AoE Q does something like, say a 60, okay? It does like a 60 on that scale, all right? However, the range of outcomes for that AoE Q, okay, is something between like 40 and 60, all right? So what I mean by that is, if a complete and fucking total noob decides to play, or let's bring it down a little bit, let's say 30 to 60. If a complete and total noob decides to play healer and they use the AoE Q, they will be playing at the minimum at a 30 out of 100 with the AoE Q. All right, when only looking at the AoE Q, not looking at the WD. Okay, when only looking at the AoE Q, they'll be healing at about a 30. All right. If you have the best healer in the game, absolutely best healer in the game, hands down, no, like fucking crowned and everything. All right. They play AoE Q. They will play at a 60. Okay. Now 60 is not bad, but that's as high as they can get. It doesn't matter how good the player is. They can be even better or better or better. It doesn't matter. That's as good as they'll ever get with the AoE Q. All right. Now, the single target Q for the Holy, if you have a total noob using the single target Q with the Holy, they're going to heal like a 10. All right? So it's significantly worse because if you have a total noob using the AoE Q, they're going to do a 30, right? But you have a total noob running the single target Q, they're going to do a 10. And I'm being generous with the 10. However, if you have the best healer in the game playing with a single target Q, he will be hitting 80, 85 on the heal scale. So what I'm saying is the single target Q has a much higher skill ceiling than single target or than AoE target Q does. Okay, so AoE Q heals are actually not good because they cap you on how much you can do as a player when you get to a certain skill level. All right. Now, I understand why most people tell their players run AoE Q. I understand. Because the shittiest player in the game is not going to fuck it up so bad, right? You're going to have a minimum standard of heals, that 30 that I talked about, right? So you're going to have a minimum standard of heals. And I understand that. However, if you're trying to be competitive, right? You're not just trying to be average. You're trying to be a competitive guild in some shape or form, all right? Then you're going to need to make sure that your players get better and better and better, and that they use weapons that amplify their skills as opposed to cap them. All right? So if you're lost onto what I'm saying and what I'm explaining, essentially, okay, in so many words, all right, essentially, the single target Q is significantly better if the player is better. But the AoE Q for the Holy caps off your ability to do better in the fight, even if you're a better player. Okay? So, most people tell their players use AoE Q, right? And I understand. I just explained why. But that's wrong. Because what AoE Q does, it makes you complacent as a healer. It makes you complacent and makes you lazy. And it makes it harder for you to actually get better. Right? Yo, give me a second. I'll be right back. Hold on. Yo, I'm back. There was some I got kids, man, and I heard some kids screaming. I don't know if you guys heard it on the bike, but there was some kids screaming, and so I was like, "Yo, what the fuck's going on?" But I guess it was the neighbor's kids, man. It's the neighbor's kids. They're screaming, having fun. But you know, you never know, man. As a parent, you know, if any of you guys are fucking parents, you know how it goes. Anyway, what I was saying is, the AoE Q is lazy. Right? Because it is easier to use. I agree. I mean, people always tell me, they're like, oh, well, AoE Q is much easier to use. And I understand it. Listen, it's true. It's 100% true. I'm never going to say it's not. Because single target Q is hard. Okay? However, it's significantly better. And the reason I say, now, I've explained to you how I feel about it. I'm going to tell you guys the details of it now. Okay? So, no, you guys didn't hear it? All right. Yeah, this microphone's good, man. All right. So I'm gonna explain it to you guys. All right. Single target Q. All right. It's like if you're using a pork omelet, which I assume people are using either pork omelet or they're using Avalonian omelet, right? One of those. But anyway, if you're using an omelet, generally speaking, you're gonna have about a 1.7 second cooldown on single target Q. Whereas you will have about a 2. What is it? No, I think it's 3. I think you're gonna have a 3 second cooldown. All right, on AoE Q. All right. So when we look, I'm gonna do some math with you guys real quick here. I got my calculator out. You guys can't see it, but I'm gonna just give you guys the numbers. All right. They both do about the same amount of heal. Okay. They both do about the same amount of heal. I think it's like fucking single target Q does like 2% more heal, some shit like that. Like it's almost nothing. All right. It's not a big deal. So when it comes to the raw numbers, it doesn't matter. Okay. They're basically the same. But when you look at the time that it takes for the cooldown, there's a significant difference because you actually have 1.7 seconds, right? Versus about 3 seconds. That means that it's about 56%, 57. It's about 56, 57% cooldown versus the other one, right? So if you think about it, 1.3 seconds difference, because between 1.7 and 3.0, right? 1.3 second difference is actually 76% more time. So what I'm saying is, okay, let me put it in easier terms here, okay? Every, let's see, 1, 2, 3, what is it? Every 4. Every 4 times you Q with the single target, every 4 times, 25. God, I'm getting lost on these fucking numbers, man. Yeah, so every 4 times you Q, 1.7 times 4, right? You're gonna, so after you Q 4 times, that's 6.8 seconds, all right? That's 6.8 seconds of queuing 4 times, all right, with the single target Q. Whereas with that same time, you're only gonna have 2 of the AoE Qs. All right, does that make sense? Like the AoE Q is 3 seconds, right? So you multiply that by 2. That's 2 Qs, right? That's 6 seconds. Now, when you have the 1.7 seconds, right? You multiply that times, say 3. That's 5.1, right? You add 1 more, and that's 6.8. So what I'm saying is, you're gonna basically get 3.5 or so, about 3.5 single target Qs out before you get your second AoE Q. Okay, why does that matter? Here's the reason. Okay, because when the enemy's doing engages, right, the amount of time that you're able to queue and drop Qs quickly, all right, is very, very important because targets will get low on HP at different times. All right, especially when the enemy is hitting you with AoE, with Qs and Ws and auto attacks and all that shit, right? Especially in the brawl that we have today, you're gonna have one guy getting low on HP on the west and one guy getting low on HP on the east. And so what I'm saying is that in the time that it takes you to drop one AoE Q on the guy on the west, the guy on the east is gonna be dead before you have your cooldown back up. However, if you're gonna go and heal the guy on the west with a single target Q, and then you look east and drop a single target Q on him, guess what? That's as long as it took for you to get another AoE Q up. All right, so you already get to heal both people at different areas, not the same location, right? But the different areas, right? Now, when you think, oh no, well, you know, I want to make sure I heal against the enemy clumps. The clumps are important, right? Because that's why it needs to be AoE, because I get to heal the clumps. Okay, well, let's break it down. Most people run Fallens, yeah? Okay. The W orb, that's an AoE heal. All right. The E, that's an AoE heal. Okay. When we look at Huddlefall, the E is another AoE heal, right? Let's look at the other options like Blight, AoE heal. Okay. Rampant, AoE heal. Wild, AoE heal. Right? So you tell me, what option is there to have a targeted healing in this game? There is no option. No option, right? You can say, oh, well, I can build stacks as a nature on one person. Yeah, that takes a lot longer than the 0.3 seconds or 0.4 seconds that it takes to drop a single target Q from a holy healer. It takes way longer than that. Oh, I'm going to build stacks and I'm good for you, right? It's like, oh, well, I can use Breeze. Oh, okay, great. That's still AoE, right? You have nothing in the entire aspect of healing. There is nothing that will give you a single target heal that is actually strong. Nothing in this game. And you're going to tell me that it's better to run AoE Q on a holy simply because, well, you need to heal the clump. Guess what? Everything is fucking healing the clump. Everything is healing the clump and nothing is healing outside of the clump, right? So this is why single target Q is so important. Not only that, I showed you guys a couple weeks ago, there was a VOD review we were doing where there was this guy, this tank player who was in a castle and he was low on HP, so he walked back into his Zerg waiting for heals, all right? And they dropped AoE Qs on him. So you would think, oh, well, yeah, he's going to get healed. That's great, right? They dropped like 3 of them on him. Well, the problem was that everybody else around him got the heal, but he didn't. And you guys can argue all you want. Well, that doesn't happen all the time. It does. It happens way more than it should. But that's the RNG of the game, right? You're not going to fight against RNG. So what I'm saying is this one guy needed heals and everybody else around him didn't need heals. And the RNG is just constantly saying, nope, he's not getting healed. Everybody else is getting healed, right? And so what I'm saying is with the AoE Q, you're depending on RNG to save your Zerg. How many times do you see your Zerg in the front, you know, super low and shit, and you drop AoE up there, and because you're let's say your tanks are low, right? The enemy just engaged, your tanks took all the damage, you dropped your E, your W, whatever, great. Now you're gonna do and drop Qs, right? And your caller's like, all right, counter engage in 3, 2, 1, counter engage. You know who's counter engaging? The fucking healers. And you know where the healers were? They were back in the back line. And they're full HP, right? So when the healers run into the front, who are they running past? They're running past the tanks. The tanks just tanked all the damage. They're like 20, 30% HP right now. And now you have your entire Zerg, your entire DPS Zerg running through them so that they can engage the enemy, right? They're doing their job. But guess what? Guess what? Those tanks that are low on HP, 20, 30%, okay? They're falling back because they need heals. And you're going to go and be like, I'm going to drop an AoE Q on that guy. Well, that's great. You're doing your job. But then the fucking RNG gives the heal to all the DPS that are rushing forward who are already full HP. And that one tank doesn't get that 20, 30%. He's a 20, 30% heal and he doesn't get that heal, right? The next thing you know, here comes the fucking Bloodletter from the west side and just fucking slashes right through him, kills his ass right in front of you. While you're waiting on your 3-second ass cooldown. Right? That's my problem with AoE Q. Not only that, again, there's more issues with AoE Q, all right? Not only that, when you drop the AoE Q, it's very quick. And you think, oh, well, that's good. That's good. It's good. It's strong because it's fast, right? That's good. Here's the problem. It's so fast that no matter what you do, you're gonna end up missing a shitload of those AoE Qs. Because a lot of times, let's say I'm a tank and I'm walking south. And now I see something, so I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna turn west. And a healer, at that moment that I decide to turn west, a healer drops a Q on top of me. Literally right on top of me. But I started walking west. I do not have the time or the fucking extreme rapid responsibility to turn my ass around and stay in that AoE Q circle, right? It's so hard. I mean, I've done it a couple times and it's fucking hard. In general, it's not viable. The guy's walking out of that circle while that AoE Q is gonna hit, and by the time he realizes and tries to walk back in it, the fucking AoE Q already hit. Guess what? He missed out on it. Now he has to wait 3 fucking seconds, right? Or 2.7, whatever the fuck it is. All right. Because Alvaro says the cast time is lower on Q3. The cast time. Yeah. Not recommending Q3, but it gives a feeling more mobility. Yeah, I agree. I agree. But I'm still going to walk out of it. And if I don't walk out of it, the RNG is going to fuck me, right? Because it's going to give the heal to other people. Okay? So that's my point. All right? That's my point. Is AoE Q is so easy to use. Okay? And if you have a person who is like brand new to Albion, like he literally has less than like 6 months playing the game. Okay? Then have him play with AoE Q. That's fine. I won't have a problem with it. I'm okay. That's okay. I get it. Because there's a lot of other things that healer needs to learn first about ZVZ and about playing, right? There's a lot of other things he needs to learn first before he can start trying to play like a big boy, right? And I get it. But if you have a healer who's played at least a year, there's no way in hell you should allow him to play AoE Q. Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You understand? Because it's lazy. And not only is it lazy, it's harming your Zerg. Because your Zerg thinks, oh my god, I have these many healers. Yeah, but none of them have a fucking useful Q. Because they're all trying to heal a bunch of groups of people, and the people that need to be healed are not being healed because they either walk out of it, or because the fucking RNG fucks them and it heals everybody else but the person that needs to be healed. And people always say, oh, well, maybe you can have only a couple people on single target for those individual people. That's not the way it works. And again, if you have a heal that's required on the west and a heal that's required on the east, you have to wait 3 seconds to heal the west and then 3 seconds to heal the east. It's a long time. What the fuck are you doing that entire time? And it's just like Oboro said, it's like it gives a feeling of more mobility. It's true. There is more mobility. Absolutely. And most of that mobility is not because of the cast time, though. Because the cast time difference between Q1 and Q3 is very small. Okay? The mobility factor that you're talking about, Oboros, is actually because AoE Q is so much lower cooldown. Or sorry, so much higher cooldown. Right? So it gives you the ability to just walk around more. But guess what? And this is one of the things I used to tell my guys back in Blue Army, right? When I was trying to train up healers and teaching them how to play and teaching them what to do, right? This is what I would tell my healers all the time. I would say, hey, listen, if you are walking around, you are not healing. And if you are not healing, you're not doing your job. Therefore, if you're walking, you're not doing your job, right? That is literally what I would tell them. This was, like 3 years ago at this point, right? But nowadays, people are like, oh, yay, I get to walk around more. Oh, how great. Look at me being so useful walking all these places. I don't understand it. Right? This is why a lot of healers today are not very good at the game. Because they're lazy, they're complacent, and they play AoE Q. All right? So, if you have a holy healer in your Zerg or whatever that's running AoE Q, make sure you tell them to switch. Because everything else is AoE. Make them use single target Q and make them learn. And they're gonna tell you, oh, but it's hard. Oh, but it's too hard. It's harder. It's too, I have to put myself in this position and it makes me this. It makes me bullshit. They just need to get better. It's a skill issue. That's all it is. It's a skill issue. All right. So that's it for the holies. All right, we went in depth for the holies. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the chat, and we'll talk about it. I mean, we'll talk about it. I've had many conversations in relation to AoE Q versus single target Q, and for the most part, I think that a lot of guilds are starting to realize that single target Q is the way. Right? I've said it literally since AoE Q came out. And then AoE Q got a little nerf as well. So it made it even easier to make the argument. But people still argue, even today, people still argue for AoE Q. So this is why I had to bring it up and talk about it. But essentially, people are still arguing it. But I'm telling you, the meta is changing. More and more guilds are starting to switch to single target Q. They're saying, oh, only one holy per party will have single target Q and whatever. But more and more are switching. Okay, and it's only a matter of time before AoE Q is seen as literally the absolute dumpster fire of holy healing. All right, so if you are a healer and you prefer to wait until that meta changes, then guess what? You're going to be behind the curve because you're going to suck so bad at using single target heals, and it's going to be everybody's going to be using it at that point. So you're going to be behind the ball, right? If you want to be ahead of the ball, stop using AoE Q right now. Literally, right now, just stop using it. And only force yourself to use single target Q and force yourself to learn how to use it appropriately. All right. We'll talk about some tips about using a single target Q better when we're done towards the end. But yeah, so the next three weapons are nature weapons. All right. So we got Rampant, we got Blight, and we got Wild. So all three of these weapons do a similar amount of healing. Now, Rampant can technically do a shitload more healing, okay? However, most times people won't actually stand on the Rampant for a prolonged period of time. they usually will stand on the rampant as long as they need a fucking heal, and then they walk away, right? And that's if they're looking at the ground, which a lot of people don't look at the ground for some reason, which they should. But let me see here. Let me catch up on questions before we move on here. Sweets PV says, even on mobile, I use Q1. Bro, on mobile, you use Q1. That's crazy. Yo, I give you props, man. I give you props. Best mobile ZVZ Fallen, hands down. I believe you are. I believe you are. Yeah. Yeah, but no, I mean, listen, playing on mobile is hard, right? And then using fucking single target heal on Holy as a mobile player, yo, you got it rough, man. You got it rough. You know, like, definitely props to you if you make it work, man. Like, that's tough. And I'll put it this way. If you can fucking do that, if you can use Q1 appropriately on mobile, there's fucking zero reason anyone else should not be using it appropriately. Like, that's the truth. Oboro says, perhaps I missed it, but if you are running Fallen, the last passive throwing your W will also give you being uninterruptible. Yeah, it does. I'm not sure if it's the last one. Maybe it's the second last one. I can't remember. They added it not too long ago, to be honest. Maybe like a year ago. But essentially, yeah. That one is good. If you are using it, and the orb, like I said, the orb is like, it's instant, right? So you can drop your W orb and then drop your Fallen E right after, so it does make you uninterruptible. So it is good, yeah. You didn't miss it. I didn't mention it, but it is true. All right, so the Rampant, the Blight, and the Wild. So first of all, I'm going to talk about Blight and Wild real quick. All right, Blight and Wild are very similar. All right, Blight does a little bit more heals because it lasts a little longer than Wild does, and it also is a larger AOE, right? So Blight is 9 meters and Wild is 7 meters. Okay, they both heal 10 people and they both heal about the same amount. However, Blight lasts about, I think, 1 or 2 seconds longer. So basically, it's like a couple more ticks, right? Blight also gives you 15% move speed, so it's something, right? It's something. And Blight has a lower cooldown. All right, so those are the differences between Blight and Wild. Now, the difference is, the main big difference that I want to look at between Blight and Wild is that Blight, although it lasts longer, all those things, right? And it's a bigger AoE, Blight is stuck to you, so it's 9 meter radius around you. Whereas Wild, you can cast it at a distance. So the reason that's important is because Blight is good for pushing, right? If you're a Zerg, like we were talking about earlier, like that fight, the EU reset fight that I had where we were just pushing nonstop, right? So in that kind of fight, Blight is better. Why? Because you're moving with the Zerg. Kind of like Hollow Fall is better than Fallen in that aspect, okay? Blight is better than Wild in that aspect. However, in pretty much everything else, Wild is better. And the reason for it is because Wild is ranged, so it allows you to cast it at a distance, okay? It allows you to cast it at a distance, so you can always place it far ahead of you, and you don't have to put yourself in danger. Whereas Blight, you're going to have to put yourself in danger in order to get some good heals. Not only that, but Wild, one of the things that a lot of people... let's talk about Blight, actually. One of the things that people talk about with Blight is that they say, oh, but it's uninterruptible, so that means that it's really good. I want you guys to stop thinking that uninterruptible means good, okay? Uninterruptible means good if it allows you to do other things while you're being uninterruptible, okay? It is not good if you're stuck to channeling whatever the fuck it is, okay? It's like Night Armor, all right? The Wind Wall. I mean, listen, I love the Wind Wall. I think it's strong. However, when they changed the Wind Wall from just like absolute fast cast to an actual channel, they made it significantly worse. And the reason for it is because you have to stand there and channel. You can say, oh, but it's uninterruptible. I don't give a damn. It's still forcing you to stay there and cast, which means what? You cannot go and use your Q, your W. You can't use any other of your you know, your helmet, your robe, your whatever it is that you're running, right? So with a Blight, it's the same thing. When you're casting your E, you can't be using your Q, your W. You can't use the rest of your fucking kit. You can't use your helmet, your boots, your chest, right? And a lot of people don't think about that. They just think, oh, but I have heals. Look how cool my heals are. And look, I have some move speed. Woohoo! Right? Think about this. The Wild does the exact same thing, except for the fact that the Wild can literally do everything else after casting a team, right? It can still stack people up with Qs. It can still cleanse with the W or pop a breeze with the W, whatever you decide to run with the Wild, okay? It could still use its helmet. Let's say you're running like a cleanse helmet or even a night helmet, whatever you want to run, okay? You can do that with the wild. You can pop your cleric robe. Let's say you get engaged on. Okay, well, you drop your fucking your E, and then you're getting engaged on. You drop your cleric robe, and then you suddenly are gonna be safe. Okay, so in general, wild, in my opinion, is better than blight. It's set for situations in which blight gets to push forward. Okay, other than that, these two weapons are very, very similar. So I want you guys to think of the Hollow Fall and the Fallen as the blight and wild, and the way they kind of interact, right? If you're gonna have a pushing Zerg, then you want more Hollow Falls and more blights. If you're gonna have literally anything else, any other kind of Zerg, whether you're gonna hold territories, hold chokes, castles, or even open world, but you're gonna play kind of like kite, or maybe just front to back, that kind of stuff, right? Wild and Fallen are better. It's just that simple. But people blur these lines and they think, oh no, Fallen is better than Hollow Fall no matter what, and then they think Blight is better than Wild no matter what. Well, the logic doesn't make sense because it's different for both, right? Have it the same. Wild and Fallen are both better in most aspects, but Blight and Hollow Fall are better for pushing Zergs. All right. Rampant is a little bit different. Okay. Rampant does a huge heal. It's at like 25 meters, something like that. It's pretty fucking big. And it does heal 15 people, up to 15 people. That's huge, right? So it's the biggest AoE heal in the game. With 25 people healing inside the Rampant, it's actually going to heal a shit fuck ton. All right. Here's the problem with Rampant. It's that a lot of people are not going to stand on that fucking thing, right? So Rampant is kind of limited in its use. Okay. A lot of people say, oh, well, Rampant is good for pushing. Not quite. Okay. Not unless you're pushing a choke, right? So you can put it on the choke and Rampant is going to be fucking great. Okay. But if you're just pushing like an open world, nah, Rampant, you don't want it. You don't want Rampant for open world. And the thing is, the meta right now is mostly open world comps, right? So Rampant is not very optimal for those things. However, Rampant is very strong for castles and territories. Why? Because it's very likely that you're going to have 10 plus people standing on that E heal from the Rampant, because everybody's kind of clumped together. Okay, so Rampant's very strong, but it's strongest in confined fights such as chokes, territories, castles, and larger fights, right? So if you have only like a 30v30, you don't want to Rampant, right? Because shit, what's the likelihood that 15 of your 30 people are going to be standing on your fucking carpet? Like, I don't care if it's a territory fight, you're still not going to get 15 out of 30 people to stand on the carpet. Okay, so Rampant is better for larger scale fights, and it's even better in confined fights. All right, so it's kind of more exclusive. Now, I know a lot of people argue back and forth for the natures between the Q and the W, right? So the Q, the single target Q, usually you're gonna run that if you're gonna run Breeze. And the truth is at first I didn't like Breeze. I thought Breeze was kind of shit, to be honest. But the more I've played, the more I've understood, and the more I've learned from talking to healers and stuff. The Breeze is actually pretty strong. Okay, it's pretty strong, and it's pretty how do I say this? It's pretty stable. It's pretty consistent. Okay, and consistency is very important. All right, you're gonna get those heals off very well over time, most of the time. All right, and that's gonna be good. With the single target Q, you're gonna put the Q on yourself and then stack yourself up to 3, and then you Breeze everybody around you. It's a 15-meter radius around you, so it's pretty big, and it's 10 people, so it hits that check mark, right? So those things are all very, very important. I think Breeze is very strong. I was wrong before. I used to think it wasn't, but it is. I've been proven wrong. However, I still think the AoE Q for the nature is still strong. The thing is that I don't like the way it grows, but either way, it's such a short cooldown, it doesn't matter as much. Okay, so the AoE Q is still very strong, and the reason it's also strong is because it allows you to run something else on the W, right? And that W, usually you want to run something like a cleanse. Why a cleanse? Because having an abundance of cleanses is actually really important. Not only that, the cleanse actually heals based on stacks. So if you're constantly stacking with the AoE Q, it is likely that a lot of people are going to have stacks, so the cleanse is going to be good. If I had to choose one nowadays, though, I would probably run single target with the Breeze nowadays. The reason for it is because there are so many arcanes on the field nowadays that are running cleanses that you don't need as many cleanses as you used to, because there's already so many cleanses on the field elsewhere. All right, so that's it for the Rampant, Blight, and Wild. Now, the next piece is going to be pretty quick, honestly. The armors, you don't have a lot of options. You're going to run Cleric Robe, right? Or you're going to run Robe of Purity, all right? The Robe of Purity gives people knockback, whatever. People like to play with that. It also uninterruptible for like the Fallen, I guess, something like that. But it's not amazing, okay? The truth is, majority of healers, like 99% of healers, are going to run Cleric Robe, and that's because Cleric Robe is just too strong, and there is not a lot of other options for healers to play. So that's pretty much all it is. It's, like I told you, it's pretty short. For helmets and boots, you pretty much have the ability to run whatever the hell you want, as long as you run some form of mana regeneration, okay, as a healer. You're going to need some form of mana regeneration, because you're going to need like things like Scholar Sandals for mana regen, or you can run some people, if you're like really old school, you'll run like Druid Cowl, but like that's like really old school. There's better options at this point, maybe even a Limhurst Cape, that's fine. But essentially, you want to run those things. If you run things like a Scholar Sandals for mana regeneration, then you're going to run something defensive, I guess, on the helmet. You can run like Knight Helmet, a cleanse hood, maybe the leather cleanse hood, things like that. If you decide to run something else, like let's say you run a Limhurst Cape, then you can run like a Knight Helmet on the helmet, and you can run like a Mercenary Shoes on the boots, which allows you to blink out of like being stunned, rooted, or slowed, whatever it is. So defensives is what I'm saying. You want to have some defensive, but you also don't want to forget your mana regeneration, because mana regeneration is going to be very important for healers. All right. Now, the playstyle tips, all right, for the healers. You always want to heal forward. Okay. What I mean by healing forward is that you want to put your heals in the direction that your Zerg is moving. All right. You don't want to ever put heals behind you. And the reason you don't want to put heals behind you is because you're incentivizing your Zerg to walk backwards. Okay. So if you put a heal behind you, and let's say I need a heal and I'm next to you, I'm going to have to turn around and walk into my back line in order to catch that heal. What is much better is if I'm walking forward, I'm walking like northeast, and you drop a heal northeast in front of me, I don't have to change direction. I see it right in front of me. I'm going to walk into it. I don't have to do anything special to catch your heal, right? So make it easy on your Zerg by always healing forward, okay? Again, don't heal backwards, because you're making players turn around and basically play far back. Also, it makes them scared to go forward, because they know that if they go forward, they're not going to find any heals out there in the front. So they're always going to have to come back. So they know that they can't count on the healers to keep them alive while they're playing forward. All right. So always heal forward. Another thing is, you always got to try to spam as much as you can your Q and your W. Okay. If all your allies are not 100%, you should be using your Q and W. Okay. I don't care if somebody's like, oh, well, they're only missing 200 HP. Okay. Well, that's 200 HP. You got to heal, because you'd be surprised how many people live or die simply because they had an extra 100 HP, or because they didn't have an extra 100 HP, right? So you can save a lot of people by simply making sure that everybody's always topped off, like literally 100%, not 98%, not 95%, 100%, all right? I mentioned this earlier, but essentially less walking, more healing, right? Again, the more you're walking, the less you're healing. Okay, this doesn't really go for natures, because natures can kind of drop it as they're walking, right? But this goes more for holy healers. Definitely holy healers. You know, every time you have your Q, drop your fucking Q on somebody. Make sure you're always constantly healing people, especially at the front. Now, try to stick to your job. All right. So if your job is heal over time, like you're a nature healer, or you're a great holy, like I mentioned earlier, don't try to heal clumps. All right. Let the fallen healers do that. All right. That's not your job. If your job is to heal, you know, over time, then make sure you're healing over time. Don't try to sacrifice yourself or try to be a fucking hero by healing the clump. Like 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up dead. And this is the problem that a lot of people playing Blight try to do, right? People play Blight because they want to be a hero healer, right? And it's like, dude, stop. Do your fucking job, right? Focus on your job. Make sure you're alive. Make sure your Zerg is getting the heals in the back. And if somebody gets clumped and dumped in the front, literally there's nothing a fucking Blight's going to do in the front to try to save that clump, all right? A Fallen will, but a Blight heals too slow to be able to do that, all right? Another thing is stay back. As all healers, generally speaking, stay back. You don't need to be looking directly at the enemy at all times, but you do have to make sure that you understand when they're going to come in and what direction they're going to engage in. And the reason for it is because you need to be ready to drop your heals there, especially if you're a fallen healer. Fallen healers need to be very early on the drop on their E. Why? Because the clump is going to die very quickly, and your E takes a few seconds to actually hit, right? So fallen healers, you need to anticipate the enemy healer engagements so that you can drop your heals on time. Now, don't forget that the flanks also need heals. Don't just be so focused in the front that you're just focused only on the front and you forget that your flanks need heals. I can't tell you how many Zergs have lost ZVZs simply because their flanks collapsed because they didn't have heals, right? If your flanks collapse, your entire Zerg is dead. Okay, you can heal the front line all you want, but if the Zergs collapse, if the flanks collapse, you're dead. Okay, the entire Zerg's gonna die. All right, and that's not like a thing in Albion. That literally is a thing in like fucking world history, fucking any military engagements and shit. You know, like this is absolutely important. Flanks need to stay alive. Also, another little tip. This is a little tip. Adjust the party name. So your party is usually on the left hand side, but you can put it wherever you want. I recommend leaving it on the left just because it's my preference, I guess. I don't know, but essentially you can drag those names up and down. Okay, drag the names to make sure that you're able to have the people that are most important to heal like towards the top. Okay, why? Because or towards the bottom if that's what you prefer. Whatever, just make a system for yourself. Okay, but the reason is because if you have certain people that need to be healed no matter what, like callers, scouts, or just like your top players, like your best DPS player or your best support player, right? Like those kind of critical people, those high value people, you want to make sure that they stay alive. So make sure that if you have any of those in your party, switch them around in the party. That way you can click their name and then drop a Q heal on them, and that's mostly for holy. But for natures, if you're running the single target heal Q, then you can also do that as well. Okay, so make sure you guys are adjusting those name tags on the party. And last thing, and I do want to make a point out of this one, because this is very, very, very important. Your disengaged tanks rely on you a lot, on healers. Okay, your disengaged tanks can do the best job they can, no matter what, everything. But if they don't have the heal supports, they're gonna die. And if they die, your Zerg is gonna get run down, right? Because no Zerg can survive if they don't have enough disengaged tanks to stop the enemy from engaging. You're just gonna be like butter, all right? They're gonna be like a fucking knife through butter. They're just gonna run through you, okay? So disengaged tanks are very, very, very important. You cannot let your disengaged tanks die. So if you're kiting back and all that, right? If you're kiting back and your disengaged tanks are doing their job, don't leave them behind, man. Like, come back, give them a Q, give them a W, give them something. Make sure that they don't die for free, okay? The best thing I like when I'm calling, the best thing I love to fucking see is when enemies leave their fucking D-tanks behind, and then I just full engage on the D-tanks and kill them, right? Why? Because then I know that when I catch up to the enemy Zerg, then I know that they have no D-tanks and I can just run them down. Okay, so it makes it very, very easy. If you leave your D-tanks behind, it makes it very, very easy. So make sure that your disengaged tanks are always topped off. All right, very, very important. All right, so that's it for this episode. Like I said, it was a little shorter, right? We do have a few videos that I want to watch. Again, it's we'll do a little bit of analysis, but mostly we're just gonna kind of watch them, enjoy them, see how people are playing. We have a couple on Fallen. We have a Divine, Rampant Staff, Hollow Fall, Blight, and Wild. Like I said, I don't have all the weapons. Like I don't have Great Holy video, simply because yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a theory, right? It's a theory. It's not tested, so I can't show you a video because it's not out there. But I'm telling you, I think Great Holy could be used well. All right, so if you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat while I get this set up here. Otherwise, we'll just get into watching this video. This is a video from Different Cloth. This was April 28th, 2022. Give me a second here. All right. All right, it's working. All right, let me see. Nothing. All right. So this is a Fallen healer, okay? I'm going to play a little bit of it with sound, and then I'm going to turn off the sound for the rest of the video because it's going to be a copyright thing with the music.
Dimension 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep northwestern, deep northwestern, deep northwestern, deep northwestern. Catch that, catch the front, catch the front. Yo, and I need defensives inside. They're hitting from the southwest. I need you to kite northeast.
So you see how he's using the AoE Q here? He's using the AoE Q here. Here's the thing though, right? Look at the position that he's taking. He's walking up this north way and then healing west, right? I don't like that he's walking north. He's walking towards the enemy. So if they bomb here, he's going to be in a bad position. What you should do here is you can walk down southwest here. Obviously, your Zerg is taking some position to the west here on this territory. So you can probably be a little safer down here on the south and heal forward that way, right? Either way, I like how his heals are forward and not back here.
Inside. I need you to kite northeast, inside. Defensives inside, defensives inside. Come northeast, inside, towards the tower more. Northeast.
Look at that, constantly dropping Qs, right? Non-stop. I'm going to check off the music because, yeah, this is going to definitely be copyright. I try not to get videos that are going to give copyright restrictions with the music. But it's kind of hard, man, especially healers. Healers don't tend to upload their videos often. Yo, that's a sticky pot. Yo, I haven't seen a sticky pot in a long time, man. That's funny. So here, it looks like they're about to engage. He's already using a Q, right? He's constantly topping off. Here's one of the things also that I didn't mention about the AoE Q. The AoE Q, you see all these guys he's going to try to heal? He's going to give them healing sickness, okay? Even if they're 100% HP, it still gives them healing sickness, okay? And that's another problem with the AoE Q, is that you're constantly giving people more and more healing sickness. Now, I don't think that healing sickness is as big a problem as some people think it is. However, it is another thing that makes AoE Q less desirable. So drops that Q. The enemy looks like they're engaging now, right? They're coming in over here on the east. And his position right here is not very good. Like, at this point, if the enemy's coming in right here from northwest to southeast, I'd walk to that east corner. Because if I walk south, they're very likely to come and engage here. So I'd walk to the east corner here. Yeah, see how he pulls to the east just in case? That's good. Now, he dropped his Fallen E. I don't... What the fuck? I don't... Where the hell did he drop his Fallen E? Oh my god. Yo, this Fallen E is so quick. Okay, he's gonna drop it here. He's dropping it here. I have... Okay. All right. I see what he's doing. All right. There's one guy. There's one guy that is about 75% HP. And he's wasting his Fallen E on him. Don't do that. Don't do that. This is terrible. Okay? Because if the enemy engages here, like full engages here, you don't have your E up, you're basically useless. So there's the Fallen E right here. He's trying to heal that one guy. And it's like, remember, I told you about the orb, right? If he walks up here north, if he walks directly up here north, he's going to be able to drop that W directly on the guy up there over this wall, right? This is why the W is so strong. However, people complain because it doesn't do the whole job for them, right? But there's a skill issue here. See, he just uses the orb right to the guy right in front of him. Instead of taking an angle, making sure this guy up here, Relhaz, gets the good heal, or the guys up there in the northwest. Oh, there it is. Boom. Boom. This is what I was telling you. This is literally what I was fucking telling you guys, all right? Watch this shit. Watch this Q. Look at this guy. He needs a heal, right? He needs a heal. His Q is about to go up. He needs a heal. There's the heal. He dropped it right on top of him, right? Right on top of him. There's the AoE Q. He misses it. Right? Actually, did he hit it? Did he miss it? It looks like he missed it. I mean, if he didn't miss it, I don't know why, but it didn't tick his health that high up. Maybe it was like a slight tick. I don't know, but even if he didn't miss it, you see how close he was to missing it? Right there, in that spot. This is the problem that I have with AoE Q. All right, I'm going to show you guys another video here. Another Fallen video, all right? Give me a second here. Let's see if this one I can...
도부 다이스가 아까 돌아간다는 얘기 안 했어?
Alright, yeah, I can show you guys this one. This one doesn't have music. So this is Escalation. Alright, this was about a year ago, April 16, 2022. Alright, so here we go.
Dice is zoning to you from northeast.
Alright, so They just got clapped right now. He's dropping a Q. I mean, that was preemptive, to be honest, but it's fine.
오케이 땡.
존나 잘 박았어.
That AoE Q, he used the orb to heal himself. That's another tip I didn't give you guys. If you need a heal, walk up to somebody and drop the orb on them. If they also need a heal, right? Then it heals both you and him.
개잘 박았다.
사우스 계속 내려봐. Defense is on the front. Defense is on the front.
So here, let's go back and watch that.
개잘 박았다.
So he's dropping a heal up there in the front because look, he's dropping the heal even before the guy is actually full pulling them, right? This is preemptive, which is what I'm telling you guys have to do as a fallen healer. You have to preemptively put down that E, otherwise you're gonna be too late. Look, the damage is coming down and his heal's about to pop.
사우스 계속 내려봐. Defense is on the front. Defense is on the front. Keep coming southwest. Keep coming southwest. Keep coming.
That mana regeneration, see how he's down to 300 mana already? And the fight's only been going less than a minute. Like, the fight started about 20, 30. Oh, it started about 40. So yeah, the fight's only been going for 40 seconds. He's already a third, about a third down on his mana, right? So mana regeneration, very, very important.
Southwest, please. Keep coming southwest, please. Yeah. Keep coming southwest, please, please, please.
킹 다이스 노스
네,
다이스
SW 가봐. SW 계속 와봐. SW 계속 와봐. 다이스 레벨 별로 안 나잖아. 지금 다시 노스로 다시 갈게. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 도보 이거 많이 잡을 수 있다. 캐치.
Now here he's so far back, right? He's so far back. His positioning wasn't great. He was backing up. This is why healers, you have to try to stay in the front as much as possible, but not all the way in the front because then you're gonna die.
캐치. They're running northeast now. 잡아. 계속 와. Keep coming. 계속 와. 다이스 어디로 놓는지 잘 보고. Keep coming. We need to catch those.
다이스
Like
내렸다.
hard, please. SW 와봐. 스페. 들어온다.
All right, so here's another engage out over here on the southwest. We'll look at this one and then we'll switch to another video.
스프레.
So here he sees people rooted, right? So he knows that the enemy might engage here. So he's getting ready. But see how he's staying at a distance? This is beautiful, right? This is very, very good play. So he's staying at a distance, but he's still watching it, right? Because he's staying in the distance of this here.
스프레.
Now he sees the Camland and instantly, he doesn't even wait for the Camland to pop. He just goes and uses his E right on top of that, right? Because he knows this is a clump. And if the enemy doesn't actually hit it, okay, at the very minimum, you know what? It's a fucking cleanse, okay? At least he's going to cleanse them because they're all going to get clumped. At least it's a cleanse.
들어온다.
There's the heal.
디펜스입니다. 앞에 디펜스입니다.
Perfect healing, right? And on top of it, he's using his W, he's using his Q, right? But he's staying at a distance where he's still safe no matter what.
앞에 디펜스 와. 한번 크게. 노스에서 계속 와봐.
He's backing up as he's still dropping Qs to the west, right? Very, very important. Again, the front line moves towards you. That means you move back, okay? Don't stay there where you were already and then get fucking clapped simply because you didn't move. You stayed static. All right. So that's it for the Fallen. Let me show you guys a video with a divine staff. So this is more of a pocket healer, okay?
Ready on the choke at 5, 4, 3.
So this one's Militant, and the player here is Hiccup. Hiccup's a really, really, really good healer. All right, he's one of the top healers in the game. This is him. He's playing. I think he's playing pocket healer for Sarge. Sarge is the caller here.
2, 1.
I'm there.
Hit this choke. Hit this fucking choke. Where's Zeri?
I'm still front, bro.
Zeri pushed up.
Yeah, I see.
Crossing the choke now. They're like super pushed up.
Listen. Look north.
So he's running the single target Q.
Look northwest. We're gonna
What's
go
up,
hard
what's
northwest at 3. On tricks 2,
Yeah, I see.
1.
Yeah, I see. I'll
Hard
see.
northwest.
Now, one important thing to note here. Do you guys hear all the communication that's going down? This is one of the things that Militant does, and I know a lot of other Zergs do this, but most Zergs don't do this for the healers. Most Zergs just do this for the disengaged tanks and supports. Sometimes they do it for battle mounts. But essentially what they're doing here is the healers and Militant, they go all on a team speak, and they basically work together and talk to each other about what they're healing, where they are, who's going to heal what direction or things like that, right? So they coordinate, and they coordinate very, very well. And it's very, very important to do that. By the way, in my opinion, and I said this years ago, this was like back in 2019, I was having a conversation with somebody, and I told them, they asked me, they said, you know, like what would be the best way to play this game? Like, what is the future of this game? And I told them in ZVZ terms, right? And I told them, I said, well, at some point, every single fucking person in the entire Zerg is gonna be an individual TeamSpeak comms, and you're only gonna all be listening to the caller for general calls, but nothing specific. The caller's only gonna give you general calls, right? And so this is kind of like we're moving there, right? We're moving there to that section little by little. Now we even have healers doing things in TeamSpeak together. So that level of coordination is helping make sure that the Zerg is as proficient as possible or as efficient as possible.
Hard let's get these skills. Let's get these skills.
I found my
Nice.
EF
Now
now.
go back. We need big defenses to pull this out of this.
So you have, again, see he stays back, right? But he stays at an angle. He drops his W forward.
We overextended a little bit. I need help to get out. We need help to get out. Come back.
Look at that. He clicked a member, like his tank, right? He sees a DPS getting low, but he doesn't care. He's looking at his tanks. Why? Because his tanks are more important. If his tanks die, then suddenly they can't kite. Suddenly they can't stop the enemy, right? So he clicks his tank. Look, he's literally marking his tank, right? He's clicking his tank, this guy Neffels, and he sees his low HP. He's dropping a single target Q on him. He doesn't even need to find him on the field. He doesn't need to find him on the field. He just knows, okay, I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna click Q. And my character on its own, it's gonna walk to him and drop a Q here on him, right? So this is very, very important. This is another strength that the single target Q has, is that you don't actually have to find people on your screen. You can just click here and then use your Q on them, and then your character will walk to them.
Go spread. Spread southeast. Spread now southeast. Spread southeast. Nice. Now hold this. Now square up. Square up with them again. Listen on this next cooldown. We're literally listen, northeast into the Terry. Get ready. On me in 5, 4, 3. Hold. Come more south. 2, 1. Into the Terry now. Across into the Terry now. Go deep south.
See, he's healing the guys that are walking through him, right? This guy, he just clicks him and drops a Q on him, right? And his Q is up so quickly every single time.
Deep south. Nice. Now come back southeast. Disengage to the west. Disengage to the west. It's okay. Disengage to the west, baby.
Look at that. This guy's low. He clicks him, drops a Q on him. He doesn't have to find him. Again, he doesn't have to find him. He just clicks him and drops a Q instantly. And his character does it. Again, you cannot do this with a AoE Q.
Good job.
I didn't even have to
Come
use
back.
my
Look, he's clicking another guy now. He's clicking another guy, and look how his character's moving over there. He doesn't know. Look, he's off screen, right? He actually has turned off screen name tags. I don't know why, but he's off screen, and he's clicking him, and he's just gonna go heal him.
Cross that fucking terrain feature. I need you guys to use that terrain feature on the west side to your fucking advantage.
Look, he clicked him again. He's going back northwest.
Get Sam, man. Listen. We're going to go hard north here again.
Now that time he did see him, so he walked towards him. But anyway, that's the point I'm trying to make, right? Now, I want to see if in this video somewhere he uses the E to try to save the caller. Because I want to show the strength of the divine here. Okay, so here it looks like the enemy clumped his Zerg up here. Let's see what he does.
We're going to go north.
So he's getting low here.
We're good.
That's because he was too close, to be honest. He should have been a little bit east.
We're going to go northwest.
Now he popped his cleric robe,
In 5.
drops his W on somebody else, a friendly. That way he can heal himself, right? With the W.
4, 3.
And now he clicked on Sarge. Yeah, so he's the pocket healer for the caller, right? He's the pocket healer for the caller. So he clicked on Sarge and instantly drops a Q on him.
3, 2, 1. You go northwest in the front now.
And now he drops his shield on him, right? So now look at the caller. The caller is half HP right now, right? It looks like it's lower, it's higher, but that's because of the shield on top of him, right? But he's about half HP right now, and he drops his shield on him. Look how quickly he's able to get that shield, right? That's the point of the strength of the divine in order for having good pocket heals.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You go northwest in the front now. Right in the front now.
And right there, boom, right? So that's the point, right? I'm gonna let it play another couple seconds after this engage, and then I'm gonna change the video.
Right in the front now. Don't let him out. Don't let him go. One kill. Nice. Now come back and spread, baby. Yeah, you fuck motherfuckers. Kill the shit inside of you. If they leave anybody inside you, look at this guy. Look at it. If they kill, look at the guys inside of you. Look at this fucking.
See how even though there's a bunch of people, I do want to mention this real quick. There's a bunch of people that need heals around him, but he's not wasting his AoE Q, which is the orb. Why? Because he might need it for the front, right? And all these people right now are safe. So if they're safe, then take your time and Q them down. Q heal until they're full HP.
Look at it. If they kill Yogi, look at the guy.
See that? He's picking them up little by little instead of using his AoE Q for it.
He's inside of you.
Or his AoE W for it. All right, so that's it for this video. By the way, if you're looking for a guild, Militant is a fun guild, man. The guy you were listening to is Sarge. He's the caller, and he gets pretty hype. All right, so if you're looking for a hype caller, definitely look into that guild. Let me see here. Oh, this one's an OG video, man. This is an OG video. This is 4 years ago. This is May 19th, 2018. 2018. All right, this is 5 years ago. This is Perel. All right, so if you don't know who Perel was, Perel was the leader of Blue Army. You know, with Mojo, right? So everybody knows about Mojo because he was the caller, whatever. But she was also, you know, co-leading Blue Army, and yeah, this is a video from her. I believe it's a rampant. Yeah, so this is really old, like rampant play. Yeah, it doesn't even have music, I think. Oh, let me see here. Oh yeah, it does. I'm gonna turn it off. There's no comms in this. There's no comms in this. This is really OG, right? So this is more just for the you know, the old school, right? But you know, back in the day, there was a lot more wilds and a lot more rampants being played. Like you can see in this video, right? Back in the day, people used to play a lot more of nature staffs. Also, I believe at this time, Fallen was kind of not good. It was kind of shit. So people weren't really using Fallen too much. So there was a lot of nature play back in these days. It was a fun time. It was a fun time. This is yo, I'm seeing some of these names like Vincent Vega, Sage Leave, Knight. Yo, this is yo, look, there's Syndic. Little Syndic. Hold on. Yo, look at that. Syndic right there. Yo, this is old school. This is old school. All right? Like this is really, my God, man. And yeah, people used to use the Sacred Pulse. I think that's what it's called, Sacred Pulse. The W on the Holy Heals, because I don't think Orb existed at the time. I think Orb came around later. Anyway, this video was for the nostalgia. Let's keep it going. I couldn't find too many Rampant videos because most people don't play Rampant. To be honest, but I think Rampant, like I said earlier, I think Rampant is strong for specific scenarios, right? Now we got, let me see here. Now we got a Hollow Fall.
We're gonna go to the north tip of the Terry. North tip of the Terry. North tip of the Terry.
All right, so this is Smurfing Monkeys. This was 8 months ago, all right? So September 1st, 2022.
The northwest wall. Don't knock the.
This is Nergigante calling.
Don't go towards the Terry. Who wants this Terry? Keep coming southeast. Keep coming southeast. Keep coming southeast. Okay, kill the Jug. Kill the Jug. Kill the Jug. East. Kill the Jug. Okay. Okay, Jug's running southeast. Jug. Pull back northwest. Pull back northwest.
Sorry, I'm trying to find a fight.
It's fine. Southwest over the wall on their tanks first. Ready. In 3, 2, 1. Southwest.
All right, here it is.
Nice. Now pull northeast, boys. Get off the Terry.
Getting the second time.
Yo. Heels on the southwest side.
All right, like I said, it's the music. Like, here's the problem, man. There's so many people that don't upload videos. Or if they do uploading, a lot of people like to not list them because they don't want people to watch them play or whatever. They think that people are gonna steal intelligence, right? They're great top secret clearance, you know, or they just don't want their videos out there for whatever reason, right? So a lot of times they just don't. They'll upload videos, but they don't upload them with comms. Or the few that do upload videos, they don't upload. They upload with music like this because they want to try to make it more hype, right? And so because of all those things, I mean, it's really hard to find good videos that we can watch. It's very interesting what he's using though. Here, this healer, he's using the blink boots. I believe they're the stalker. I believe they're a stalker scent or stalker. What are they called? Whatever, the stalker boots. All right, here it is. So he used his follow fall already. Let's see where he uses it. So the enemy Zerg is coming in, and he uses his hollow fall here. I don't understand. Absolutely useless. Absolutely useless. This is atrocious. I'm sorry. Like there's no heal required here. There's nothing. He should do it for the counter engage because the enemy's gonna counter. I do want to mention this though. He does take a northeast angle and then drops his orb south. Right. That's very good. And again, remember I told you I spent a lot of time talking about the orb because the orb is very important. If you use it with good skill, then you're gonna have good heals like this. But the E was wasted. The E was absolutely wasted. Like he could use the E right now, literally right now. Now he has the E up. Honestly, but the enemy already engaged. I wouldn't really use the E. I might use it on these guys up here in the front. But beside that, I mean, he's using it in the back. This is terrible. Don't use the hollow fall like this. Don't use the hollow fall like this. Like I said, it's really hard to find good videos, man. Especially healers. Healers don't upload their videos. So, yeah, don't use their hollow fall like this. Hollow fall is like heal the front, man. Heal the front and put yourself in danger, and that's fine. But that's also why you have that blink on the boots, right? It's a nice blink. You also have a cleric robe. You have resist pots. Like, yeah, like now you're just standing in the front for no reason. You can heal over the walls here. Anyway, I didn't mean to shit on this guy. I you know, it's just the videos that I could find. So yeah, just not very good. Yeah, let's look at another one here. And by the way, if you guys have any questions about anything at all, we're about to close it up. So I'm gonna just show you guys one more video on a wild staff. Actually, let's do the blight one. I'll just do the blight real quick. Then we're gonna close it up because yeah, I mean, there's not like I said, there wasn't a lot of videos, man, for healer.
Vengan a West, vengan a West, vengan a West, vengan a West, vengan a West. Pasamos encima Fax. Cuidado, nos enganchan. Resistó.
So this is Dalius. Dalius, this was I think he was calling for Pandora here. I'm not sure. But this Dalius calling. Dalius is now known. Yeah, he's calling for Pandora. He's now known for Volures, right? So he was in Volures. He was the caller for Volures for a while. And I heard that he recently quit the guild. So he's not there anymore. But yeah, this is the Dalius calling right now.
Defensivas. Ay, no importa. Vengan West. Pushamos West. En 5.
So see how his Zerg is moving forward and he's moving with them, right? There was the one guy that needed heals. Now he jumped in, and that's fine. But he was healing them as they were walking forward. So this is the strength of the Blight.
4, 3, 2.
Now I don't know. He right here he's healing nobody, right? All of these people are full HP.
1. Vengan sur West. Borren sur West en el Yugarra. Borren el Yugarra. Bien, y va a quedar esto ahora. Nos come el bloco por el West. Cuidado. Lo sé. Vengan este.
Look, again, like, I don't understand. Listen, don't do this shit. You run fucking Assassin Hood. Don't run Assassin Hood. But you run Assassin Hood so that you can reset your fucking Blight, I guess, right? And then you reset your Blight and then you heal nobody because, like, nobody's getting heals, right? Like, all these people are full HP. Like, they don't need the fucking heal. So this is just incredibly wasteful. Incredibly wasteful. Don't do this. Don't just heal for no reason.
Borramos. No, vengan West. Dejen al drift. Escúchame. Toma el enter. Vamos a borrar Fax. En 5, al True, en 4, 3, 2, 1. Pasen encima Fax. Borren a Fax. Salgan el Terry. Salí el Terry está perdido. Son muchos, son muchos. Salgan, salgan,
See, now that they're walking through, this is fine. This is a good use of the blight here. Now that they're walking through.
salgan, 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 salgan through it. Ayúdame la gente al norte, ayúdame la gente al norte, ayúdame la gente.
See, but he walked away from the guys that needed heals. If you had a blight, you would have put that blight on that choke, and everybody walking through it or getting caught on it would get the heal, and you wouldn't be in danger, right? He walked away from the heal, from the people that needed heals. Why? Because he was in danger, right? And this is the problem I have with blight. Again, I don't care for blight. I know a lot of people like it, but it's whatever. All right, but that's it. I'm gonna close it up because I know there wasn't a lot of good videos here. I'm gonna just play this while we finish up here. All right, there. All right, you guys have any questions, comments, concerns? Drop them in the chat right now. I'll give you guys about a minute before I close it up. I'll answer any last questions. Again, if you like the content, hit the follow. Okay, subscribe if you want to. You don't have to. It's always free. On YouTube, it's free to subscribe. So go ahead and please subscribe on YouTube. I do appreciate that. Next episode is going to be on Monday. It's going to be episode 20. It's going to be supports. And that's going to be the last episode for this series. All right, so the supports episode is going to be interesting because there's a lot of support weapons that are very different, right? In the way you play them and the way you use them and the way they interact on the field. They're all very, very different. So it is going to be a very interesting episode. Like I said, for today, I mean, healers don't have a lot of options, right? That's the problem with healers. So if SBI is listening, healers need more options, man. Healers, there should be some way to like have like a solid Paladin style healer. There should be ways to have like healers that can run other things than just cleric robe. Okay, things like the Ent battle mount should be better. Just different things like that, man. Healers, I feel sorry for healers. They're so important. They're so incredibly important, but yet they just don't get any love, man. They just don't get any love. Like the players always blame everything on them, and they don't have a lot of options on what they get to play. Like they're stuck to like 5 options to for the weapons and like fucking 1 or 2 options for a chess piece. Like it's pretty rough for healers. But anyway, how to make the episode, because it is a role and it is very important. But yes, the argument of the AoE Q versus single target Q for Holy was definitely the only argument that there really was in general. So, all right, no questions. I appreciate you guys for being here. And again, the next episode is on Monday. So I'll see you guys in the next one.